I was afraid time would take her twice. The morning after Shayna passed, I lay in my bed and I thought about disappearing. Not because I wanted to die, well, not exactly like I wanted to die, but because I couldn't bear the thought of what time might do to her. I remember it as if it were yesterday. I was terrified that if I kept living, that she would fade. That grief would do what grief supposedly does: soften at the edges, blur, retreat. That the sharpness of her laugh, her voice, the particular way she moved through a room would eventually smooth itself into something vague and distant. I didn't want a memory. I wanted her. And I was afraid that the longer I lived, the more time would take from me, that she would become a ghost, not the kind that haunts, but the kind that disappears. Now, here's a comment that stopped me cold. It happened just yesterday. I had a guest on my podcast, someone I'd never spoken with before. And when he asked me about my work, I told him about Shayna and how her passing in 2015 changed the entire direction of my life. He glanced at her picture on the wall behind me. Then he said, with genuine kindness in his voice, "I'm sorry for your loss, but I know it's been a long time. She's beautiful." I don't hold it against him. I want to say that clearly. He was trying to help. He was reaching for something to soften the weight of what I had just shared. He was trying to put distance between me and the pain as a gift. But I sat there quietly and I thought, it's been a long time? What's a long time? Has it been a long time? Should I feel some kind of way about that? As if time is the variable that matters, as if enough of it accumulated eventually equals healing, as if because it's been a long time, she doesn't matter as much to me today as she did on June 24th, 2015, the day she passed. Here's the room that knows better. Shayna's room is mostly the same as it was the night she didn't wake up. We've given away some of her clothes, but the furniture is still there. And the furniture is the furniture that she helped me assemble just weeks before she passed. I remember those afternoons, the instructions spread across the floor, her figuring out which bolt went where, both of us laughing at something, she being so proud when we figured something out, going back to IKEA to pick up a box that they had left out of our purchase, and me walking out with it without stopping to explain because of the lines. And she was afraid we get caught walking out with it. Her furniture was barely used. When I walk into that room, time does something strange. It doesn't accumulate the way it's supposed to. It collapses. It folds back on itself. Those weeks before she left feel close enough to touch. Her backpack from her last trip was still sitting in that room, unpacked, because she came home from a trip the weekend before, and then she was gone. And there was no ordinary Thursday morning to unpack it. That's what a long time runs up against. Not stubbornness, not an unwillingness to heal, just a stubborn, beautiful truth that love doesn't follow a timeline. It's been 3,940 days since Shayna left her physical body, not one less. And I know that number because I count, not obsessively, not with dread, but with intention, because counting is a way of saying to her, you still matter. Every day still counts. And here's what I can tell you from the other side of 3,940 days. The fear I had that first morning, the time would take her twice, has not come true. Her presence in my life has not diminished. I keep her picture on my desk, on my watch face, in my foyer. I begin every day with her. I end every day knowing she's still part of whatever I am and whatever I'm becoming. The loss has not lessened, and I won't pretend otherwise. There are still moments, ordinary, ambushing moments, when the weight of her absence is exactly what it was in those first hours. But neither has she lessened. She has not faded. She has not become vague or distant. She is, in every meaningful sense I know how to speak of, still here. Here's what well meaning people get wrong about time. When people say it's been a long time, they're offering what our culture has taught them to offer: the idea that time is medicine, that enough of time simply heals. Easy peasy. And I understand why we reach for that. It's something to say, and implies forward motion. It suggests that the person standing in front of you is not stuck, not broken, that they've had time to metabolize this. But grief doesn't work on a clock. What changes over time if you do the work isn't the size of the love or the weight of the loss. What changes is your capacity to carry it. You grow around it. You learn to breathe with it. You find, sometimes to your own surprise, that the person you lost has become woven into who you are in ways that feels less like wound and more like thread. That's not the same as fading away. That's integration. That's transformation. That's what grief tended carefully can actually do. Now, I want to come back to that morning, the one where I lay in bed afraid of the years ahead. I was wrong about what time would do, not because my grief got smaller, but because Shayna didn't. She's grown with me as my understanding of consciousness has deepened through the years, through conversations with people who have seen beyond the veil, and through my own quiet moments of stillness. My sense of who she is and where she is has expanded, not contracted. The picture I carry of her isn't frozen, it moves. I don't know exactly what the continuation of consciousness looks like on her end, but I do know what it looks like on mine. She is present. She is not a ghost. She is not a distant memory wrapped in softening nostalgia. She is Shayna. She's still my beautiful light. She is still here. And I know that after 3,940 days, she's every bit as present now as she was then. If you lost someone and you're afraid what time will do to them, afraid they'll fade, afraid you'll forget the sound of their voice or the specific weight of their presence, I want you to hear this. You get to decide how you carry them forward. Time is not the enemy. Forgetting doesn't have to be the destination. The love you have for them is not a wound that needs to close, it's a thread that connects you to them, and you can weave it into everything you become. What would it mean for you if the person you lost never had to fade? Tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear.